Hello and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. We are kicking off today with continuing education. And with us on continuing education we have Lynn Daniels to my left in the same screenshot. And then we also have Jan Baum with us. And of course next to her is my co-host. I guess we can make it possessive. My co-host, your co-host?
I'm willing to be your co-host if that's what it takes, yeah.
Joe
And you took my introduction.
I saw that.
The camera. It was all the camera. Anyway, hi, I'm Joe. Welcome to the Lunch and Learn. We're glad that you're here with us today. It's great. I have this whole script in front of me that Bryan didn't have, and so when the camera came up on Bryan's face, that was...
Did I like freak out?
You handled it pretty well, I felt like.
I think I freaked out.
It gives me more confidence co-hosting with you, and I'm more confident being your co-host.
That's good. You know, you always want to be that person who walks into a room and everybody just feels better.
And that's you, Bryan.
All right.
Hands down. But unfortunately, you're stuck with me for right this moment because today we have another great Lunch and Learn prepared for you. Of course, it's brought to you by ITS and Human Resources. And so me and Bryan are going to get into some cool stuff with ATSU's Continuing Education Department. And that's Jan. She's the director. And over there we got Lynn Daniels, the program coordinator. And there's a lot of changes that have happened. And if you're like me, it was like 3 months ago, I was still calling it CME. I think I even had like an argument with someone that I ended up losing over whether or not it was actually called CME. And that was one of the more deflating experiences in my recent memory. But yeah, so continuing education and lots of stuff going on there. And then in the second segment, we're going to sort of continue the theme of that conversation with some more lifelong learning type topics. We got a great office tip coming up. We've got a continuation of our discussion about phishing with Dustin. So lots of good stuff happening here. But right now, let's get started with continuing education. And now, Bryan, it absolutely is your turn.
Yeah, so Jane, maybe you can start us off and just kind of give us a sense of kind of who the department is, what you do.
Well, at ATSU, we are known as Continuing Education. It's the Continuing Education Department. In the past, it was called just CME, Continuing Medical Education. But in the changing world in medical education, the new approach is to involve the team. So it's always an interprofessional approach where the team is very important in having their whole team involved in patient care. So we feel that the best approach is when we do an educational event, we do involve as many other components as possible, as many other professions, because it's important to everyone to be up to date.
So this is kind of the group that does provide the education. Are there accreditation requirements that you guys have to meet?
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. We are, ATSU is accredited to do medical education through the American Osteopathic Association. So through them we get accredited on a 3-year cycle. So our 3-year cycle ended this past 2015. We moved into a new cycle, so that will be the years 16, 17, and 18. And we will go through their evaluation of our programs. And then from there, we will hopefully maintain that accreditation with commendation again that they've had in the past. So that's mainly what we deal with is for the physician assistants, and other health professionals that want to come to our courses. So we provide 1A credits for physicians that are required individual amounts by the states in which they reside.
And that's for KCOM and SOMA. That's for our
Both.
physicians programs, and then we also have other healthcare professionals. But that's the accreditation we use for those two schools and the programs they offer.
So there's additional accreditation then for dental?
Yes, there are. If you'll go to the slide about accreditation, there's one about the dental accreditation. And ATSU is an American Dental Association continuing education recognized program as a recognized provider, and that's ASDO. MOSDO has not had any alumni to necessarily provide those services to. One more. And so this is the dental accreditation that we fall under.
Okay, great. So are you guys like always going through accreditation then, whether it's dental, medical? And does the HLC play any role in what you do?
Well, what we have to do is every program that we put on is called an activity. You think of it as a course, but it's really called an activity. And each activity must reach certain requirements and levels of complying with what we have to do. So once we set up an activity to happen, for example, we just got out of a conference on Founders Day, which is going to be the program here in Missouri. We go through the entire program, and every aspect has to meet those new requirements, whether it's the time that each program has to allocate to meet the amount of credits we offer, whether it's having a disclosure statement on file from every presenter, every planner, whether it's having any commercial support, which sometimes we have for other programs. Everything must be in compliance. All of our marketing tools, which Lynn usually is a big part of the marketing tools, has to have certain wording on the statements and make sure that we are legal to provide that education to our attendees.
So where does your guidance come from? What's the governance structure? Is there a committee that kind of helps you?
We have a CESC, which is comprised of, I think we have a slide on that too, don't we, Lynn?
We do. We have representatives from all the different schools as well as different departments within the university, so that we have a wide range of input from all the players. So while our office focuses mostly on the CME, we bring everyone to the table to discuss the needs of continuing education across the whole university.
Right, and it's comprised of different representatives from all the different departments that also provide continuing education for past attendees, alumni, other professionals that would like to attend their courses. And as a benefit of all of us working together, we can collaborate on projects. And for example, right now we're in phase 2 of our website, which is a big production, because it will be very advantageous for our people who are registering for our courses. It'll be a much easier payment system. The internal departments will be able to manage their programming. So for example, in our world, a lot of times we'll have a professional, a faculty member that has to cancel at the last minute. We can go in and modify that program to make sure we're having an accurate representation of the program that we'll be presenting, as well as all the other departments that use this tool as well. So currently we do have a bunch of PT courses online, audiology, OT, PA, everything is listed on our website so people could go in and do searches.
Nice. I want to look at the website in a little bit, but since you have all of the different departments, are there opportunities for kind of interprofessional education or collaboration?
Right. We just completed in March a collaborative effort with our dental schools, and we had offered both dental CEs as well as medical CMEs. We had this program. It was very well attended. We had 107 or 110 attendees. It was a 3-day program, and we did across the spectrum interprofessional education. So we presented from the dental side as well as from the medical side for physicians. So it was well attended, and we felt it was very beneficial. The first outreach to really cross across the spectrum.
And the feedback that we got from faculty, from attendees, was that it was very beneficial.
Great.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about the website. I mean, obviously that's probably the primary method for marketing, or not?
Yes.
Is direct marketing, direct mail?
Yes. We do a lot of marketing efforts. We have to reach a broad spectrum of our attendees, from those that graduated 50 years ago from KCOM, when it was KCOM, to those that are brand new graduates or still attending school. So we try to cross the spectrum and do marketing pieces that are still mailed. Some of our attendees really do want that piece of mail in their hands. Others would prefer an email blast. Lynn does send those out through Constant Contact. We maintain a list, and those are sent out on an as-needed basis, as well as on the website. And the website, as we just discussed, is so up to date and current, that's very beneficial. They can read about the program, see who the projected faculty are, what are the objectives, our target audience, who are we trying to reach. And then we also put the professional gap up there and the need. Why are we doing this education?
Nice.
Why is there a need to do this education?
And who helps develop that, kind of the gap analysis or what topics you're going to cover? Are you guys responsible for that? Or?
Several different methods.
Right.
We do a needs assessment once a year, which is a survey, and Lynn has worked with several departments to put that together. It gives us a focus of what a professional has addressed as, I really could use some more education in this particular area. We use our CESC, which is our committee.
Okay.
For their needs as well. We do literature searches to find out what is changing in the world of education for our medical professionals. What is the new change? Are there guidelines out there with a specialty society? Has something from the government come out? Is an area of concern? So we use all those to analyze upcoming programs, what are our needs, as well as we do survey our attendees. They do evaluations on site. We send out an outcomes measurement, which is done now, 14 to 30 days post-course, and we ask them, what are issues that we need to address in future programming? What can we do to help you have better patient outcomes? So we're looking for a change in competence, performance, or patient outcomes. It's not just simply about changing knowledge anymore. It's how can we apply it to their practice.
And does that cross over really from medical maybe to dental, across all of the clinical professions?
Absolutely, and we all have the goal of having better patient outcomes.
Yeah.
That's the overall goal of everyone. You know, treat the patient as a whole. It's the whole patient. How can we improve their health care?
Yeah. Who is kind of the target audience? I kind of assume that maybe it's our graduates mostly.
Primary
is
care
that true?
physicians are a target of ours. Our alumni, past attendees, really is a big list that we try to target in our marketing strategy. But then we also get it out to the AOA on their website and different organizations on their websites to target DOs, although we do have MDs that attend our programs
Okay.
Not many.
as well. Not many, but
But it's open to anyone.
Yes, absolutely.
yeah, we have
Absolutely.
dietitians, nurse practitioners, physician's assistants. We also, in our marketing strategy, we send to all of our physician's assistants
Right.
alumni.
Nice, nice.
And at this past course, we had several dental hygienists attend as well as the dental professionals. So it was pretty broad spectrum. It turned out to be a great program.
So like when you do something, say, that doesn't necessarily target dental hygienists, but are there opportunities for collaboration with other educational institutions, or is it pretty much just an independent thing for ATSU?
I have worked with several other schools on talking about in the future, could we do some collaborative efforts? The problem is our attendees are very loyal to ATSU.
Okay.
And they're more interested in educational opportunities that come from a lot of them are alumni, and they want to come back and visit, or they want to see, you know, who's in the forefront in their professions. We have a lot of our faculty who are very well known in the DO community, and they draw. Some of those faculty are so well known that when we have a particular speaker that is one of the renowned experts in diabetes. When he speaks, we don't have to say anything else. So.
Interesting.
They market themselves.
Yeah. How many people are we talking about per year that we service?
Oh, wow. Well, Debbie, who's hiding in the corner, Debbie records all the credits to the AOA, and that involves our preceptors they work with our students as well as those faculty that teach the students. Last year, Debbie reported 67,000 credits
I thought I saw
in
that.
the different levels back to the AOA. We have no control once it's reported back to the AOA. We could not go into a particular doctor's record and look to see how many hours they have. They do their own analysis to make sure that the records are accurate for them. But Debbie does report that back to the AOA, and it's very intense. We work with both schools. We work with the KCOM faculty, their students, as well as SOMA.
And of the 67,000 credits, that's just for medical, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yes.
So in terms of the numbers of people, are we talking dozens, hundreds?
That we see at live activities,
It's averaging anywhere from
70 to 100.
and
at
then
our-
particular programs draw a huge audience. 170, for example, at our Big Cedar program.
Typically, are they just day-long programs or multiple
3 days, usually 3 days.
If they're going to take the time away, we try to give them
The
as many
most-
credits as possible.
The most credits that we can work in that time frame.
Yeah.
Which is good.
And kind of thinking for the future, what are some of the biggest challenges that you guys face?
Well, for example, everyone wants online activities, but there's a problem with that with the physician world in that new requirements will allow them to have up to 15 hours earned online of 1A credit, which is an AOA designation. That's the most valuable to them. Unfortunately, they have to do a pre-test and a post-test. Pass was 70% on the post-test, and they have to have the availability to ask questions of the faculty or be in a blog for up to 48 hours post, and that makes it very difficult.
Yeah.
You know, it's very restrictive for us to be able to do that. So that's some of the problems that we will probably face in the future, because people do want online, but they make it difficult.
Yeah, you always kind of think, or at least I always think of continuing education as going to some exotic location or being, on a cruise ship somewhere.
That's absolutely what I think of.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering if there's more of a demand for the online or if that's shifting at all.
Well,
I have a
You know,
demand for
in
more
terms
cruise ships.
of,
That's what
as
I'm
we do our needs assessment each year, we find that a lot of our responses come back from that older group. And so the younger group of physicians, recent grads, we're trying to adapt our strategy more to what their needs are, but they don't really give a lot of feedback at this point. So,
So where are the exotic places that you guys are heading to?
Spill it.
oh well,
This is the.
we just had
tough
we had a
question.
program in March in Las Vegas that was very, very well received, and that was the one that was the dental and the medical combined. And the best part about the program for us was we garnered a whole new audience. So we pulled in people from California, New Mexico, Oregon, Washington, Utah, Arizona that a lot of times will not come all the way back to Missouri. So
Okay.
for us to get them involved in our education and spread the word that it's a great program that ATSU puts on is that word of mouth is wonderful for us.
Sure.
So they go back and they tell their office staff that it was the best program ever. So we try to always make it a positive experience for our attendees. So that for us was a great experience to get into that market that normally we don't capture.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, it sounds great. Thanks for dropping in and kind of giving us some information. Is there a place that kind of faculty who are interested or have ideas for continuing education can go to talk to you or contact you guys?
Absolutely. If you go to the website, there is something called Experts Bureau, and you can also call us. And we would be happy to respond to you if you would like to fill out the Experts Bureau form that's on the ATSU website. That gives us your background, your credentials, maybe if you're board certified in another area, and what are the topics you would like to present on. So we welcome that feedback from anybody.
Very good.
Excellent. Let's maybe go to a break. you
Yeah,
think,
it's
Joe?
time. I'm ready for a break.
Are you?
ready for a
Oh,
break?
absolutely.
All right, good. Well, we're going to take a quick break then, and we're going to watch a commercial. It's Beth, and she has
All right,
another
good.
office tip for us. And then we'll be back with some other learning opportunities available to ATSU faculty and staff as well.
I have been teaching Microsoft Office for almost 20 years. The one comment I always hear is, I don't know what I don't know. With these segments, I hope to show you some features that may make your jobs easier and more efficient. People often do not choose the right tool for the right job. For example, people have trouble using tables in Word. Did you know that you can embed an Excel table into Word and PowerPoint? When you copy a section of Excel, use the Paste Special, Paste Link feature to embed the Excel table. If you need to edit the Excel, double-click on the section and Excel will open. When you edit it in Excel, the changes will automatically update in your Word document. Excel charts can also be copied and linked into Word or PowerPoint. Please feel free to email me if you have any questions, want further instructions, or if you have suggestions for further episodes.
All right, thanks, Beth. Another great tip. So let's take a quick look, if we can, at the website and kind of walk us through that a little bit. So I've got it pulled up here.
Well, on the website, you can see where we have on the left side, the columns, we have it divided about continuing medical education, continuing dental education, and then, of course, we have our other, which incorporates, as we were discussing before, the athletic training department, audiology, occupational therapy, and physical therapy as well. You can also see who the CESC committee members are, where it's under About, and it has a short biographical information there. Meet the CE team. And of course, we would be remiss if we did not mention our fearless leader, which is Dr. Lloyd Cleaver. And he has been a wonderful asset to us as we do all of our planning for the future. And there he is. The other thing we have to say about Dr. Cleaver is his connections within the DO community have been invaluable to us. So if we have on our needs assessment, for example, something about hematology or oncology, Dr. Cleaver will know who to contact so that we can get that person online and have them do a lecture for us or be a speaker. So there's a list of our members. If you have recommendations or would like to send something to the committee, you can certainly look at your own individual departments, send a comment, and they can tell you how it works for their individual departments as well.
All right, great. And I saw that Experts Bureau, so I just clicked on that quick.
Perfect.
So looks like that's an area where you can become a member of the Experts Bureau.
And that's what we were discussing. If you would like to be a speaker for us, faculty for us at one of our courses, we would love to have you. And just submit your name and some information and the way to contact you would be great.
Great. Thank you guys very much.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. So Joe, this is kind of like continuing education for clinical people.
It really is.
But since you're an HR person, what about for standard employees?
Yeah, so the sentiment carries through for the rest of the university as well. Obviously, we're not able to specialize things, and so what we have, instead of a really centralized, specialized targeting, is we have lots of different opportunities to try to hit a broad spectrum of people to make sure that there are opportunities to continue to develop skills, to expand your knowledge base, and maybe sort of position if you're ready for a transfer somewhere down the road, or you see that next position coming up that is the advanced position, the one that maybe supervises what you're in now, or you're anticipating future expansion and you think you want to be positioned a certain way. There are opportunities for ATSU employees to find ways to develop themselves in that way. And so the major one, the huge one that I feel like we have, maybe the biggest, is the lynda.com resource. And that is something that we've had for years, and I'm still amazed that it's, what do you say, its exposure to our community is still pretty limited.
It is.
In fact, I was just in a session as a result of our Great Colleges to Work For. I conducted a whole bunch of feedback sessions, and in one of those, there were a couple of people who said, "Boy, I really wish we had something so that we could figure out how to do that one thing in Excel, or figure out how to make my Word document do that one trick, or turn off orphan control. Please, for the love of God, get rid of orphan control," right? Because I hate orphan control. It's a bane of my existence. And so Lynda.com has that and like 1,000 other things that we don't even realize are available, all in video form, all available from anywhere at any time. And they even provide certifications when you've completed a certain cadre of courses. I believe Lynda is hooked up with LinkedIn now.
Oh, really?
There's an ownership relationship there. And so LinkedIn will start to provide a platform for you to tout those certifications so that you have specialized skill sets in certain areas that you want to show off.
Yeah, it seems like it wasn't that long ago that we didn't have kind of video opportunities for personalized training. And so it fell a lot of times on the IT department or on other departments to provide training on Word, Excel. Well, now there are so many different applications that there's no way that you can be an expert in all of those things. So having something like Lynda that we can guide people to for, maybe it's just specific formulas that you're interested in or formatting in Microsoft Word or Photoshop that you want to learn. Well, now some of the Lynda content has the leading experts from the entire industry that are available.
And that's what I love about it. So we used to have a joke. We'd say, "How do I do whatever?" And the answer would be YouTube University. Right? Jump on YouTube. Someone has made a video about it.
Let me Google that for you.
That's right. Yeah. Well, Lynda is like. Because it's not a free service, and so I think sometimes we fail to appreciate the benefit to our employees. It's not cheap, but the value is incredible. And it's like someone has gone through YouTube and picked out the most credible, the most directly applicable subject matter that's covered on YouTube, and it's all aggregated in one place. And so you're getting people who know what they're talking about, but it is sort of that YouTube University format where someone's just going to walk you through it, and I can fast forward through the steps I know, or fast forward to the content I want.
Well, what I really like about it is that there are different levels. You learn your basics and then you move on to a totally different video without having to watch the basics if you already know them.
Right.
Yeah, you can jump right into where your area of expertise is.
So we see people using, because those who recognize its value, I think what you tend to see when we look at trends of users or certificates completed is you don't ever see a person's name one time. Once someone gets hooked up with Lynda.com, they will continue to go back to it. And so what we have is a population at ATSU who isn't still really aware of what that thing is or what it's good for. And then you have the population that has started using it. And once they do, we have employees that are certified in a huge variety of different skill sets. So if you would take someone like me who writes policies and habitually emails people, and I can also certify myself in Photoshop and digital photography.
But it's not just technical topics either. So leadership, management skills, time management, those kinds of softer managerial type skills are available on there too.
That's exactly right. And that's some of the things we've started using. One of the things we rolled out this year in the performance evaluations is professional development plans. They're like proactive, forward-looking. How can I as a supervisor help you as one of my employees develop some future skills? And Lynda.com is going to be one of those resources where we can say, if I want to prepare you for leadership, or if I think there are some areas where we can tune up, or there are new concepts that we want to start working into our office, Lynda's probably already got those available to us at no extra cost than what we've already spent for life.
So I think the real value for us as an organization is trying to combine our own internal type training segments or courses with some of the Lynda.com or other YouTube University type stuff. So I mean, these lunch and learns are one example of kind of how we try to get the word out to people, but you've done the supervisory training.
Yeah, and I love the supervisory trainings because there's always, it's impossible. The HR processes and procedures alone, if that was the only thing we dealt with, it's funny the number of phone calls that come in where you say, you guys should really have a form for this. And it's there. It's just, even when you get onto our portal, the amount of data and the amount of resources can be overwhelming. And especially when you get to a supervisory level where you don't just have to take care of yourself anymore. But there are other people who have monthly or annual processes that you have to complete. That's where we try to use parts of the supervisory experience to sort of explain some of those key processes. Now, the coolest thing that's come out of that I've appreciated the most is, in fact, the same place where we're hosting this video, everything that we record lands on this live.atsu.edu page. And so it's always available to anyone all the time. So I've been to the things where I said, okay, let's invite everybody to a room and 30 people show up, right? And then you say, okay, let's invite everybody to a room here, and then let's also do a room in Mesa, and then 50 people show up. And then you say, okay, let's spend $400 on lunch and see if we can get 60 people in the room. And what's brilliant with this live side and with live stream and Corey and everything that you guys have done here is I can sit here by myself or with one other person. We can put together the kind of technical presentation on processes or procedures or internal mechanisms that we need to and just lay it out there. And you can go get it on your own time and watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I think the self-service concept is something that we're still kind of easing into. You know, when I do reviews with people or I review reviews of other people, excuse me, a lot of times the question will come up, well, what do you want me to learn? You know, and the onus always comes back to the supervisor or the institution or whatnot. And I think more and more with younger people, it's more self-directed type training, where they just go out there and they'll Google, you know, how do I do X, Y, Z? And they'll come up with their own methods for teaching themselves.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, you know, it's funny you said X, Y, Z. Bob Ehrlich taught me something about X, Y, Z yesterday. Examine your zipper. It's some sort of code I never even knew about before until yesterday.
Such a sheltered life, Joe.
I don't even know where I've been all these years. If you're out there, Bob, thank you. I'm a new man today because of you. So recorded trainings are huge for me because we get the supervisor stuff on there and we see 40, 50 people in a room, but a couple hundred people will go and look at that over a couple of weeks if you let them know it's there. We did that with stuff like the active shooter training, which even though you don't want it to be popular, it's information to have as available as possible. We did that with, you know, we do we can do it every 2 years. It's not biannual, but it's every 2 years.
Every other year.
That's what you said. That's the very technical word for it. We run through our harassment and discrimination procedures and reporting stuff, and we put that online, and we use it actually in the required employee training. And that's so that all that stuff is always out there. We did some supervisor training with Jim Bergman, who, because of the nature of his employment at the hospital, has had a lot of intensive soft skill management / leadership training, and he let us record him for 2 full sessions, and it's still out there. So anybody who's coming in as a new supervisor has everything that we've done for the last 2 years recorded and available on that site, and they just need to go grab it and start watching. I think it's a great tool for supervisors because it helps me get people up to speed. And I know it's all there. I don't have to schedule things or look at the calendar. I just know it's there and I need you to get to it. The other thing that's nice is some of these curtains are sort of pulled back for employees. If you want to know what we tell supervisors for guidance on how to do a performance evaluation or how to construct a professional development plan, that stuff's on there for you as well. And I appreciate that because I can go into an evaluation. I keep using that example because it's one of the most recent one we did. Knowing what to expect because I know how my supervisor studied for this experience to happen. And I feel like it takes away some of the guesswork and some of the ambiguity that might surround that process. And that's true for a lot of these processes. So we spent enough time on that one, right?
So I think for our viewers, let us know kind of what role we should play as curators. You know, on the Lunch and Learn, for HR, for IT. You know, let us know what kind of content people are interested in, and then we can kind of do some of that curation for you and point you in the direction of YouTube videos or lynda.com content or some other type of event type training that we can do.
Yeah, you know what I found? So I do Title IX coordinator stuff sometimes too. And what's really cool, especially with this setup, is I can come down here and record a 2-minute how-to or informational thing and shoot it out in a day. And so sometimes if we get stuff like that says, I just don't get this thing, we could run down here and shoot something out to everyone in 48 hours. That would have our very technical internal process described however it needed to be and be done with it.
So as an educational institution, we do that daily for our students, right? We provide content for them.
Right.
We've shown the CE team, which really does it for ongoing clinical type education, and then even for administrative type training, we've got some of those same tools.
Well, you know, that's a great point because it parallels exactly what we were talking about you individually defining your individual professional practice gap, and then going out and finding what you need to, you know, to bridge that gap. So it's the same parallel, same idea.
I had no idea we were so good at this.
I know. See,
So-
it bridges the gap.
Let's do our drawing, hey?
Oh yeah, okay.
So to give people an incentive to use lynda.com, we've put everyone who's logged in to lynda.com between first quarter, so January 1st to March 31st, 30 days? 31, March 31.
Yeah.
And so anyone who's
Yeah.
logged in, and I think we've got close to 50 people in there. So,
Ooh.
Jan, if you would, do the honors.
Okay.
Oh, they're all actually in the
Oh, yeah,
cup.
they're all-
That's
There
amazing.
is- yeah, it's in there. Did you not see
I
it?
had no idea.
We
You
took
didn't
you
know?
out, Joe.
Okay, I'll do.
I'm not in there?
You're not in there?
I think I stole
Okay,
the cup
you
when I
ready?
started doing it. This is it.
So our winner for this
Oh,
quarter.
I got it. Man, and you had two of
Is-
them.
I had two. It could have been you,
Could
Joe.
have been that. It could have been me. He can't win. He already won.
Oh no.
We got to do it again. It was Steve Emland. You're not allowed to have another mug, Steve. We just won't let it
Okay.
happen.
This is one.
I'm gonna get an email.
Yeah.
Maybe from his attorney.
He's on vacation.
We should have curated the list
We
better.
should have. Okay, I got Stephen Webb.
All right, Steve Webb, good.
Yeah.
Good. And research and grants, I believe.
Steve, you are the lucky winner of a almost new. We did dump some paper in there. You'll need
Yeah.
to wash it out. But other than that, completely unscathed lynda.com mug. Yeah, definitely brag to your coworkers, your relatives. Maybe selfie with it a couple of times and put it on Instagram. I don't know. Use your imagination.
Selfie with it and send it in for the next show.
That's right.
There you go.
I would like to have a selfie of it to use on our next segment. That's
There you
an
go.
excellent idea.
Good deal. All right, then let's take a little break, see a little bit more about lynda.com, and then we'll come back and wrap it up with phishing.
Yes. All right, there you go. We will we'll keep pushing lynda.com because it really is an incredible resource. And I just wanted to make sure you noted it's through the portal. We're just having the discussion here. I think maybe your login credentials are already provided through your ATSU network access.
Correct. So you'll log in, you'll go to the lynda.com icon, and then you click on that icon, and it'll automatically feed you through to the
Pretty cool.
employee.
So if you've not checked it out, give it a look. I think there's probably going to be more there than you expect, and it's incredibly valuable stuff. Meantime, we're going to switch just a little bit. And I think, Dustin, last time you and I visited, I made all of the phishing jokes I could think of. And so I'm out of phishing jokes. but we still have a lot of important things to talk about as it comes to phishing. In fact, I think even between our last segment and today, we've had a couple of new phishing attempt notifications. So it's timely, it's on everybody's mind. Let's go ahead and pick it back up with how do we spot these phishing emails?
Okay, Joe. Yeah. So as you said, it's very important to spot these phishing emails, and I'll get to that towards the end of this. But basically, the most important factor to know is that the email itself will ask the individual for personal information. It may be a link, it may be reply to this, and it's going to ask you to divulge either your username or password. Any personal information is going to ask you to divulge. And it can be as simple to identify as, say Publishers Clearinghouse, you've won $1 million, click here. That's fairly obvious. But then it can also be a scare tactic to say, hey, your user account's been hacked. Click this link to change your information. Otherwise, bad things can happen. So, and usually it's an automated response. People will click that link and then change their username and password supposedly. And then the bad actor has your personal information. But the most important thing that I wanted to touch on is why it's so important to recognize the phish is that it can have some kind of malicious payload as well, whether it's a file itself that has malware attached to it, or the link after you click on it can drop malicious payload onto your computer as well. So it's important to recognize the phish before you actually click, because just because you click on it, you'll get the malicious payload. You may change your username and password, but the damage has already been done. And you may have an AV, but nothing's 100% secure. So it's important to recognize it before you actually click on it.
That's an important point, because someone like me would have listened to some of the stuff you said last week and thought, okay, I'm just going to check this thing out, and if they ask me for anything, then I'm out. But what you're saying is different than that. Even speculatively clicking on something within that email could already have bad consequences.
Exactly, and I think that's the key, and I think that's why we're having these sessions, because in our organization, like I said, we have all kinds of measures in place, but that's what people prey on. They prey on our end users, hoping that they'll click on this or download this, and then also, divulge personal information. So they use those in conjunction, email with malware and phishing in conjunction with each other. They're smart. We're always trying to keep up. It's a game. It's like they're ahead, we're ahead. So we always got to be careful.
Hey, can I ask you, I know and I don't mean to cut you off, I think you've got more stuff for us, but I am curious since we're talking about it. Let's say I did. I didn't, by the way. But let's say I did click on one of those things. What do I do next when I realize, oh man? Okay,
if you've clicked on one of those things, and it's tough to say, because sometimes a lot of the malware that may come with those links runs silently. You know what I mean? So if you've clicked on it and you think you may have downloaded something, the best thing to do is, first of all, do a scan of if it's a personal computer, do a scan of your computer with your antivirus immediately. If you think you've done it and it's one of ATSU's computers, call the help desk right away. It may be filtered up to me, and then I can do some forensic investigation on it myself. But that's the first thing to do. I'd say the first line of defense.
So ATSU person, I clicked on something in my email. I don't need to do anything else except just call you first.
You got it, and let us know, what's happened, what you've done, and then we can start investigating it from there.
Okay. If I do that in the evening, does that still work?
Yes, actually, there is a. We're always on call, pretty much. So here's the thing: you're gonna have if it's bad enough, you know what I mean. We have the off-site folks that will get filtered, and then there's an escalation process as well. So
chances are for that it'd be something that you would call, report, and then the next day Dustin would get a message that says, hey, so-and-so clicked on what they suspect was a phish.
Gotcha.
And then we would start the investigation from
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, correct. So, and actually, regarding that as well, going back to the obvious phishing emails, they can also have misspellings in them. You know what I mean? We just had one the other day that had help desk spelled wrong. You know what I mean? They put HL EP, you know what I mean? So it's just like, some of them are real obvious. It's the scare tactic ones you want to watch out for. And like I said, you just want to make sure, don't click, because it could be just as bad.
Very good. So, final thoughts? Anything? Parting shots?
Yeah, other hints, Dustin, to kind of give to people to identify, or some things that they might look for specifically for identifying fish?
Yeah, basically it's kind of like defensive driving. You want to be kind of like defensive emailing, right? So if something, as we stated last time, looks suspicious, there's usually there's no harm in, viewing the email. It's when you feel it's suspicious, it's asking for personal information. You can let the entities know, say Wells Fargo, for example, you got a phishing email from them. You could call the organization and say, hey, I got this fish, and make them aware, because then they can probably do stuff on their side as well. And then getting into next session, we'll talk about what we do on our side.
Very cool. Well, as always, Dustin, thanks. And it's timely. I mean, it seems like we get a notification of, hey, here's the latest attempt every few days or so. And I guess you could speak to this more. It seems to me like for the most part, people are pretty vigilant about identifying these things.
The biggest thing is user education. That's what Dustin is trying to do, is educate people on. Just be aware. If it doesn't look and smell right, if it smells fishy, it's probably someone looking for information that they shouldn't be.
Right.
So be wary.
Great. Thanks, Dustin. Again,
Yeah, thank you, guys.
we appreciate that.
Great. I think we'll wrap it up. So thanks to Lynn, Jan, and Debbie, still over in the corner, I think.
In the corner.
Did she leave?
Yeah.
She's here. And thanks, Dustin, to you too for keeping us all informed about what's going on with CE, what's going on with phishing. We'll see you next time on May 17th at 1 o'clock Central Time, when we'll be joined by Greg Rubenstein and discuss the new ATSU website. And then we'll talk a little bit too about some ITS staff and the new ITS website that we've put together, and kind of the self-service model that we talked about a little bit earlier. So
Great.
Stay tuned, and we'll see you on May 17th. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve, come get your